right. Welcome everyone to It's Worth a Shot for November 29th. We are happy today to be able to present a new mobile vaccine clinic guide. This is a new Mountain Pacific resource. And since we are getting into the holiday season, we are going to be talking about holiday decorating. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. And just a disclaimer, this presentation will only contain contents from a Mountain Pacific individual today, but this is our disclaimer for other presenters. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. And for our updates and reminders, there is a behavioral health integration webinar series. It's talking about the nuts and bolts of delivering effective cultural programs. That one will be tomorrow, so make sure you guys tune into that. There is also a transitions and caregiving with Teepa Snow, so make sure you guys get registered for that. This one is on December 8th, and it is a several-hour presentation, so make sure you guys share that with your activities staff. Maybe you guys can assign some staff to attend that. And like I said, be prepared. It is a little bit longer presentation. Just some reminders, we do have National Hand Washing Awareness Week that starts on December 1st. It is also World Food Service Safety Month, so we want to recognize our food services this month. And also National Influenza Immunization Week will be the 4th through the 8th. So watch for activities and different information regarding hand washing and influenza as we go into these awareness weeks. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. Okay, as always, we appreciate you guys' feedback and ideas for topics, so make sure you guys plug those into the chat for us. We will have an evaluation that will plug into the chat at the end for you guys' feedback as well. We will continue to meet every Wednesday, so send us your ideas, and again, we appreciate your feedback. Let's do a quick polling question. Okay, is your facility still using strictly in-room dining? If you would, if you answer yes, please explain the reasons for still practicing this and just go ahead and drop those answers into the chat. Okay, looks like a majority of you guys are no, you're not, so that's great. Let's go ahead and end the poll. We can share the results. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and go on to the next slide. Okay, so this is our weekly influenza snapshot. As you can see, there is a increase week over week. There is a trend on the up. For our region, we can see that Alaska is kind of bridging or approaching the higher range, whereas Wyoming, Montana, and Hawaii are still on the lower range of the spectrum, so that's wonderful. Make sure as we go into the Influenza Awareness Week that we continue to offer those influenza vaccines and provide the education to our staff, our residents, and our families. And let's go ahead and go to the next slide. Okay, so this one, we're kind of tapering off a little bit with the trend in test positivity, and the emergency room visits are kind of on the uptick. It is a little bit leveling off overall. And then there has been an increase trend in hospital admissions. So starting to see some more COVID activity and some more COVID outbreaks. So again, good opportunity to provide some education to our staff and families and residents. Okay, let's go ahead and go to our next slide. So this is the mobile vaccine clinic guide. I am Callie Perkins. I'm one of the account managers for Mountain Pacific, and I am happy to show you guys our new resource. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide. So this guide was designed to be able to pull together the pharmacy and the nursing homes. So in talking with nursing homes and our pharmacy partners, we recognize that planning clinics can be burdensome. It can become a barrier to actually administering vaccines to our residents. So we wanted to create a guide to help overcome some of the guesswork and the burdens. This guide will help delineate the tasks between the nursing home staff and our pharmacy partners. So it covers a planning checklist, it has a variety of resources, and it also covers billing. So we'll get into that a little bit more. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. So if you notice off to the one side of the planning checklist, there is a time frame. So these are ideal time frames of when to start planning these different vaccine clinics. It does go over in one column, you'll see that there's nursing home actions, and then in the far right-hand column, there's the pharmacy actions. So as you're looking at the guide, it goes over the month before, 1 week before, and then even the day of the actual clinic, some tasks that need to be accomplished. So some of those items are determining who is actually going to be providing the vaccines, the collecting the consent forms and the eligibility forms, identifying how many you're going to need, whether you're just going to be providing the COVID vaccines or if you are going to include influenza or perhaps pneumonia in those. So getting those consents ahead of time. For COVID, you'll need to have the orders for the pharmacy, so you want to make sure you get those ahead of time. So these are some tasks to kind of help guide that at a time. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. So in the resources, we wanted to make it as streamless as possible. So some of the items that we included in the resources go over even storage and handling of vaccines. We included all of the CDC clinic planning links in there. We also have the VIS sheets, so you guys can provide those to families and residents as you're obtaining those consents. You can provide that education ahead of time. You can also have them available on the day of the clinic so that you can make sure that they've received that. There's eligibility guidance about who is eligible and which vaccines they would be eligible for. We have also included some of our vaccine flyers so you guys can promote and provide education regarding the vaccines to your staff as well. And we have included all of the links to the vaccine campaign toolkit. So there's from several different resources. We have some from the CDC in there, some social media posts, some talking points. We have the template letters that you can send to families and residents. So just kind of a lot of resources in one location. I recommend when you guys get the vaccine guide, you download it onto your desktop and then you guys can work through this and then you'll have those hyperlinks right there at your fingertips so you can access. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide. So one area that we get a lot of questions about is regarding COVID-19 vaccine billing. And one of the things that we wanted to make sure you guys had right at your fingertips is some information about Medicare billing and the COVID vaccine coding. So we've included all of the guidance for respiratory vaccines that has the RSV, influenza, COVID, and pneumonia. And then we have the vaccine coding for COVID. And again, these hyperlinks are right in there. So I wanted to include this in here just because we get a lot of questions. So if you guys choose not to use a mobile vaccine clinic, I did want to kind of give you a visual demonstration of perhaps some potential profit for the facilities if they choose to do their own vaccine billing and administration. So if you have a pharmacy, and we've kind of researched some different pharmacy costs, and that's where that 125 comes from. So the CMS national payment allowance for the Moderna Spikevax, the syringe, is $145.92. The administration fee for that is $40. So you can see the total amount billed. So from that one administration, there's a potential profit for the long-term care of $60.92, potential profit. So if you guys are contemplating whether to use a mobile vaccine clinic, they do the billing. Some of them can do the billing for you. So just some things to consider on that side of things as you are determining whether or not you want to use a mobile vaccine clinic or you want to go ahead and provide it in-house. Again, all of the links are in the resources page and on this guide. So it goes over kind of more in depth some of the facts regarding the billing. So as always, though, if you guys have questions, be sure to let us know. We can help you guys work through this. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So here's the link to the actual guide. Miranda is going to drop it in the chat for us, so you guys will have that, and then we will send out the link again with the slides for next week. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide. So we're going to kind of transition to the holiday decorating. So as I mentioned before, as we get into the holiday season, I know some of you guys are already in full swing and already have Christmas trees up and lights and the whole 9 yards. I myself have not started at all, but here is a good just reminder about holiday safety. Let's go ahead and go into the next slide. So just a reminder, the winter holiday, while it can be festive and eventful, it also, statistically speaking, is also a time for more home fires and electrical accidents. So we just want to make sure you guys stay safe this season. And Miranda actually dropped the healthcare facility holiday decorating guidelines in the chat for you. This is a wonderful resource that the Wyoming Department of Health has on their website. So you guys can refer back to that at any time. So as we go into the season, let's make sure we check the halls for holiday safety. Let's go ahead and move on to the next slide. This is a 3-minute video. We're gonna play the video and just kind of get us in the holiday season and help remind us of some of the holiday safety tips. This one is in a hospital setting, but I think it has some very relevant information. And this, we can drop the link for this video as well. So you guys can share this to your staff and do some reminders for them, get them into this spirit as well. Okay, let's go ahead and play the video.
Everyone on 3 East loves the holidays a lot, but the safety guy, as much as he wants to, just does not. The staff and patients love the decorations and fun. All the safety guy can see are things to be undone. What is this? He gasps as he walks on the floor. He sighs with frustration at the first thing he sees.
A fully gift-wrapped fire door.
He worried as he entered the floor that day. Would he see something that would make him say, "Oh, staff, why do you not use your head? If you leave this here, people could wind up dead." Another bit of holiday cheer. Decorations, decorations, they are abound. Hanging from the sprinkler head. Mistakes, mistakes, they are all around. Patient room windows. I can't see through? No, this won't work. So much teaching to do. The nurse's station is covered with green, silver, and red. Tinsel and garland. This really hurts my head. These cords are just wrong. They mustn't be used. Frayed ends and wires cannot be excused. We are a hospital here. We're supposed to heal. Tripping over cords is not a good deal. You just can't do this. I can't believe you don't know. And at that very moment, he knew kindness was the way to go. My gentle nurse, please. We must learn to adapt. Fire doors, hallway doors, and patient room doors shall never be wrapped. A sprinkler head, an essential device, should never have decorations, no matter how nice. patient room windows. You need to see through. No decorations here. I thought you knew. No tinsel, no garland. We can have artificial trees. Class A items per the safety rules. So use them, please. Lights are okay if the UL listed or battery-powered type. Keep them in good shape, and no one will gripe. Gentle nurse, I plead. These cords can cause trips. So please no extension cords, and verify your power strips. At the end of the day, his heart grew with favor. It takes a whole staff to make the hospital safer.
Safety is a rule, not a suggestion. Just let me know if you have any questions.
We can go ahead and stop the video there. Okay, let's go ahead and go on to the next slide. All right, so just kind of a fun video. I love The Grinch, so it's great to be able to get everybody into the spirit, but also do some reminders. So kind of a fun video you guys can share out with your staff. Here is the regulation. So it actually comes from the NFPA Life Safety Code. So as a reminder, combustible decorations shall be prohibited. So if you are using anything, you need to make sure that you're spraying them with a flame retardant, and we'll talk about that a little bit. So natural cut Christmas trees, any vines or boughs for decoration, they cannot be used. Paper tree ornaments cannot be used. Again, trees, plants, those kind of things, burning candles, and make sure that you're not hanging anything from the fire sprinklers, ceilings, light fixtures. And then as a reminder, keep all of the decorations 18 inches below the sprinkler heads. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide. Okay, tell me what's wrong with this picture. You can drop it in the chat and come off mute. Yes, piggybacking. So extension cords plugged into extension cords, plugged into power cords. Yes, there's also, if you guys notice, there is a small frayed wire on there. So you want to make sure that you're using cords that are in good repair. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide. So while artificial trees are approved, they need to make sure that they have the UL label stating that they are flame retardant as well, that the cords are in good repair, the lights are all working and in good condition. And then you want to make sure that you're placing those artificial trees 3 feet away from any heat sources, heat vents, intake, fireplaces, any sunny windows even. Make sure that the egresses are clear, that we don't have Christmas trees in the way of any of those. Just as a reminder, when we're looking at decorations, if you have a non-sprinklered facility, you can only do about 20% of the total area of the walls and ceilings with any flame resistant materials. So just take a look there, kind of see what applies to your facility and make sure you're not exceeding those totals. So be really cautious about that. As we mentioned before, the paper decorations, if you're going to use them, they need to be treated with fire retardant. You need to be able to show that they've been treated with any kind of fire retardant material. No smoke generating machines. Those tend to cause irritation to our residents and our staff. It also says to avoid the use of spray applied artificial snow for the same reason. It can cause irritation to our staff and to our residents, to be cautious of that. Make sure that they are not covering any of the fire alarm devices. Again, hanging them from the fire sprinkler heads. So make sure that there's nothing hanging on there. They do make a really great location to hang stuff, but we can't do that. That will be an automatic deficiency. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide. We'll talk about outside decor a little bit. Again, making sure that you're using lights that are specified for outdoor lights. Make sure that you don't have extension cord connected to extension cord to do all of those lights. You want to make sure that if you have extension cords that they're not posing a tripping hazard, whether that's inside or outside. So be really cautious of that. And then make sure that you are turning off and unplugging electrical items at night. That is one of the more common times when you have fires and problems. And as I mentioned, the egress, make sure you're not blocking any doors. Let's go ahead and go to the next one. So I wanted to include some general safety tips. It seems like this is when I tend to have more injuries as I'm stepping up on ladders, trying to put the star on top of the tree. So you want to make sure that you guys are watching your staff, keeping them safe, making sure that they're not, stepping on the decorating boxes to put the star up on top of the tree. This is something that we see, we want to remind our staff to take caution and be safe. And just remind them, make sure we're not hanging heavy decorations that can pose a threat to themselves or to our residents. So I saw some feedback here. Everybody really enjoyed the video. We went ahead and dropped that link, or we will drop that link. Yes, Lori put the link in there for us. So thank you, Lori, for that. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So on the healthcare facility holiday decorating guide, this is the link that Miranda put into the chat, but I've also included the different links on here. The leading age one had some good resources and some good reminders for your staff as well. And the ACA one had some information as well when we're keeping decorating in mind. So we want to keep everybody safe, and we want to make sure that we are not, potentially putting ourselves at risk of getting a deficiency or having any injuries around the holidays. And do you guys have any questions on anything I presented? We can talk about the mobile vaccine clinic guide or any questions about specific holiday decor.
Looks like we got a quiet crowd there today, Callie.
Yes,
Thanks so much for the presentation. That was a lot of really good information. The video was super fun.
Yes, sorry, I figured it would have taken a little bit more time up. I apparently talked too fast. We do have a reminder regarding NHSN reporting.
Looks like we just got a quick question. Sorry, go ahead, Lori.
Oh, no, go ahead. I just was going to toss in about NHSN reporting is for nursing homes who are utilizing the, COVID module to report weekly. Be sure that everything is complete, including making sure that your COVID-19 vaccination status, the up-to-date status for both residents and staff are in place, and then also the current census as part of that too. Sometimes that's easy to overlook. So just a general reminder on that.
I just wanted to jump back in. Thank you for that reminder, Lori. I appreciate that. And Holly had a question about real potted evergreen trees. This would be acceptable because they're not cut. So the concern with having a cut tree is that they dry out, whereas this would be a live tree. So much like a potted plant. So I would use the same precautions though with, decorating it and putting anything on it. So be cautious about that.
Where do wreaths fall in this? Some people like the smell of the fresh pine and, to put a couple decorations on and put them on doors. Where do those fall?
So the wreaths would fall under the same thing. Once the wreath is actually cut, it's considered no longer live and it's at risk of drying out. So much like the boughs and the greenery, that we place on mantles and whatnot, if it's a if it once was live, they are not permitted. That goes for, straw and hay and all of those kind of things. They pose a risk. But if it's a live plant, then that would be different. So great question, Miranda. So if you are wanting to put a wreath on a door, I would suggest using the artificial wreaths for that situation.
Okay, to follow up with that, what about candles? Like, a lot of people like to do the scented candles during the holidays, so it smells like pine or spruce or cinnamon, like the Christmassy smells. What about stuff like that?
So candles are not permitted just because of the open flame. You could have the candle and that way they have the smell or the scent, but the actual candle themselves, they're not permitted to burn those or to light those. So I would recommend probably not having them at all. And you can opt for a different option. There are some scented decor.
Diffusers?
Yeah, depending on what's allowed for that. There's some kind of issues that you might run into with that depending on plugins and the different types, and if they have like open oil and that stuff, some of those can kind of pose a risk too. But I know
Lori just put in chat that the LED candles look very real, and I can vouch for that. I got some at Costco, and it's nice. They have like a flickering almost flame, and they give you that nice calming feeling, but all battery powered.
Yeah. So one of the nice things you could do is you could use some, essential oil scents like the pine scent or the, different cinnamon scents or whatever on some of those holiday decor. That way you can kind of get the smell without having to have the candle.
Oh yeah, reed diffusers also a really great alternative, because those just kind of sit into the oil smell and then diffuse across the air.
Yeah. Again, just be careful where you're placing things like that. If they're around flames or not flames, sorry, heat sources. That's what I'm trying to say. So just be cautious.
Okay, thanks, Callie. So I just wanted to say, thanks to everybody for joining us. And Callie, thank you for Iron Manning that presentation and doing the whole thing start to finish. We can go to the next slide, Mary. So we do have a presentation next week on December 6th, and this one's going to be kind of fun because we are actually having state ombudsmen from each of our 4 states to come and give a little bit of a talk. So we'll have representatives from Alaska, Hawaii, Montana, and Wyoming. So it'll be our long-term care ombudsmen that'll be on to speak. So definitely join us next week. And then just another heads up, we're going to have another holiday pause for the area between Christmas and before New Year. So there will be no It's Worth a Shot on the 27th. And again, if you can, Mary just popped into chat our evaluation. If you guys can click on that and fill it out, we really do appreciate your feedback. We keep track of it each week and also respond to some people that have comments. We might do it on our FAQ doc or as a questions and answers from last week. So it is anonymous. So it's not like we can track you down or anything unless you do leave your contact information, but we do really appreciate the feedback. So please participate in that if you have the time. And thanks again for joining us for It's Worth a Shot this Wednesday. And we'll see you back next Wednesday on the 6th with the state ombudsmen. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.